Welcome back to the sanctuary of whatever you need, the only digital auditorium where we refuse to glance at the surface of celebrity culture. Instead, we drill down into the bedrock of human psychology that drives the industry. Today, we are not merely discussing a breakup or a romance. We are dissecting a Shakespearean tragedy of timing, a narrative about the invisible crossroads that every great artist faces, where the path to global dominance diverges sharply from the path of personal fulfillment. We are gathering here to examine a question that has haunted the comment sections, the fan forums, and the hushed conversations of casting directors from Istanbul to Madrid. Did Gökberk Yıldırım, a man possessing the rare, incandescent magnetism required to conquer the world stage, consciously dismantle his own international launchpad for the sake of Cemre Arda? This is the story of a choice that might have irrevocably altered the trajectory of a generation's brightest star, a choice that, depending on your philosophical vantage point, either elevated a romantic connection to the realm of modern myth or exacted a professional toll so heavy that its full weight is only now being calculated. Before we descend into this labyrinth of ambition and affection, I need you to verify your commitment to the truth. Are you subscribed? We are building a legion of critical thinkers here. And for those who wish to empower our investigative team to keep digging where others merely skim, I implore you to click the join button below. Your patronage is the lifeblood of this channel. Now, let us rewind the tape not to the tabloid headlines, but to the moment the air first changed in the room. To understand the magnitude of what was potentially lost, we must first appreciate the sheer voltage of what was found. The genesis of this saga takes us to a production set that was destined to become hallowed ground, where Gökberk Yıldırım and Cemre Arda were cast as opposing forces in a primetime drama that would soon transcend the boundaries of television ratings to become a cultural heartbeat. When the cameras began to roll, seasoned technicians and jaded directors alike witnessed a phenomenon that cannot be taught in drama schools or manufactured by public relations firms. An alchemy so potent that the very air between the actors seemed to shimmer with unscripted tension. Their close-ups required no dialogue to convey a lifetime of longing. The micro-expressions, the terrifying vulnerability in their eyes, spoke a universal language that resonated from the Bosphorus to the Andes. It was inevitable, perhaps written in the stars, that this on-screen conflagration would jump the firebreak and consume their reality. The paparazzi, those relentless chroniclers of the private moment, began to capture the stolen glances backstage, the shared laughter that lingered too long after the director called cut, and the undeniable gravitational pull that kept them in each other's orbit. When the whispers finally solidified into confirmation, Gökberk and Cemre ceased to be two individual actors, they metamorphosed into a singular entity, a brand of romance that was consumed voraciously by millions. Yet, as we know, the most compelling narratives are never linear, and beneath the glossy surface of this perfect union, a fault line was quietly, dangerously widening. Long before Cemre Arda stepped into the frame and rearranged the furniture of his life, Gökberk Yıldırım had been engaged in a solitary, meticulous construction project. He was not merely drifting through the industry on the wings of his physical beauty. He was an architect of his own destiny, quietly laying the foundation for a career that would recognize no borders. Insiders who have tracked his rise speak of a man who treated his craft with the discipline of an Olympian, studying foreign languages until the vowels sat comfortably on his tongue, cultivating networks that extended far beyond the local industry, and impressing agents in European capitals who are notoriously difficult to charm. There were files on desks in London containing his demo reels. There were managers in Los Angeles who had reportedly carved out dedicated slots in their frantic schedules just to meet him during pilot season. The industry consensus was unanimous and deafening. This was a talent packed in a suitcase, ready to travel, ready to explode onto the global consciousness. Then, the narrative shifted. Just as the engine of his international ambition was revving to a roar, the relationship with Cemre became the central pillar of his existence. Together they were a commercial juggernaut, a power couple, whose intertwined fingers sold products faster than any marketing algorithm could predict. But here lies the crux of the dilemma: when you become half of a whole, the singular I that is required for the solitary, selfish pursuit of artistic greatness often gets swallowed by the we. The debate that rages within the industry centers on a specific, haunting turning point, a ghost ship of a project that never sailed. Rumors persist of a streaming production headquartered in Spain, a gritty, nuanced vehicle designed to strip away the soap opera gloss and showcase raw, visceral acting power, backed by a European distributor hungry for a Turkish lead to anchor their franchise. The timeline of this offer aligns with suspicious, almost cruel precision with the zenith of his romance with Cemre. The official reasons for his decline, scheduling conflicts, creative divergences, strategic pauses, were floated like paper boats, fragile and unconvincing. What remained stuck in the collective memory was the silence of the missed opportunity. Fans and critics alike began to ask the uncomfortable question. Did he choose the warmth of proximity over the cold uncertainty of a new frontier? Did he look at the prospect of living out of suitcases in a foreign land, separated from the woman who had become his muse and his anchor, and decide that the cost was simply too high? To join the international jet set is to accept a life of isolation, of missed birthdays and lonely hotel rooms. To stay was to choose the intoxicating comfort of a shared life, a decision that is as human as it is professionally perilous. I need to pause this analysis for a moment because I need to hear the voice of the whatever you need community. Place yourself in his shoes for a heartbeat. You have the world at your feet, a contract that could make you a global icon, but it demands that you leave the person who makes your heart beat in a steady rhythm. What is the currency of a life well lived? Is it the applause of millions in a foreign tongue, or is it the quiet dinner at home with the one you love? I want you to go to the comments section right now and tell me, do you believe Gökberk made a mistake by not taking that leap? Or was his decision the ultimate act of bravery in a world that overvalues career over connection? And while you are down there, tell us which other Turkish stars you want to see us dissect on this channel. Your feedback steers this ship. And remember, if you want to support independent, deep-dive journalism like this, the join button is waiting for you. It's the best way to ensure we can keep bringing you these unfiltered truths. We must also consider the machinery of fame that surrounded Cemre Arda. She was and remains a powerhouse in her own right, a face that launched 1,000 campaigns, a presence that commanded attention in every living room across the nation. When two stars of this magnitude align, the gravitational pull toward more of the same becomes a force of nature that is nearly impossible to resist. Advertisers crave the familiar warmth of the couple, networks demand the magic that has already been proven to work, audiences become addicted to the dopamine hit of seeing them together. Was Gökberk, in a sense, boxed in by the very love that liberated him emotionally? For an actor who had been angling for gritty thrillers, art house cinema, and prestige international drama, the safe, lucrative road of domestic romance can function as a golden cul-de-sac. It is a luxurious trap, lined with velvet, but a trap nonetheless. The pressure to maintain the brand, to show up at events hand in hand, to coordinate social media posts, to be the perfect couple, consumes the time and mental energy that is otherwise needed to prepare for the rigorous demands of a crossover career. Then, as all things subject to the entropy of the universe must, the cadence changed. The posts grew sporadic, the public sightings felt choreographed rather than spontaneous, the articles shifted from adoring worship to clinical analysis. When the breakup finally arrived, it did not land with the explosion of a supernova, but with the quiet, dull thud of a book closing in an empty room. There were no public screamings, no dramatic takedowns, just a profound silence that seemed to say, this part of the story is now finished. In the months that followed, we watched Cemre Arda double down on her momentum with a terrifying efficiency. New scripts, marquee brand deals, a public image that remained luminous and controlled. She moved forward like a shark that cannot stop swimming. Gökberk, too, continued to work, choosing projects that pleased his base, yet the fabled international snowball that once seemed perched at the very edge of the ridge did not roll. To the cynical observer, this is the smoking gun, the evidence that the momentum was lost, that the window of opportunity, once wide open, had begun to slide shut. However, let us challenge the premise of our own question. Is making it truly defined by a Hollywood premiere and a foreign agent on speed dial? Or is there a different metric of success that we, in our hunger for global validation, are failing to see? Perhaps Gökberk Yıldırım is not a cautionary tale of wasted potential, but a success story of a man who refused to sell his soul for a plane ticket. Maybe he looked at the trade-offs, the loneliness, the dislocation, the relentless hustle, and decided that the price of admission to the global club was too high. Every life is a series of trade-offs. Choosing a city means leaving another behind, choosing a partner means protecting the time to be with them, choosing a project means saying no to 10 others. What we label from the outside as sacrifice might simply be a preference, a value system made visible in real time. If his relationship with Cemre reframed what victory looked like to him, then he did not lose anything. He merely changed the game he was playing. So where does that leave us, the spectators of this grand drama? We are left with a portrait of two people who found a rare, incandescent connection, tried to hold it together in the middle of a windstorm, and for a time, shaped their entire existence around it. We are left with a career that remains strong, beloved, and bankable, even if some doors were left unopened on purpose. And we are left with a love story that, whether or not it cost anything professionally, gave both of them an experience that cannot be measured in trophies, box office receipts, or headlines. The full truth, the whispered conversations at midnight, the promises made and broken, belongs only to Gökberk Yıldırım and Cemre Arda. That is their property. But in the space between what we know and what we guess, there is a profound lesson for us all about the nature of ambition and the cost of love. Thank you for journeying with us into the depths of this story. If this video provided you with a perspective you won't find on the gossip blogs, please hit the like button. It helps the algorithm find other truth seekers. Make sure you are subscribed and have notifications turned on so you never miss our next investigation. And once again, I invite you to click join to become a pillar of the Whatever You Need family. Until the next time we pull back the curtain, remember, the story you see is only half the truth.